Speedway, located in the sand hills of North Carolina at Rockingham, one of the toughest tracks on the NASCAR circuit. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Joy, and this is the Komfort Koach 200. Probably nobody knows, like Penny Parsons knows, just how tough a racetrack this is. It is a tough racetrack, Mike. I probably crashed here at Rockingham as many times in my career as two other racetracks put together. Extremely tough racetrack. A lot of new drivers in this race today. What will that mean to the competition? Well, I think they're going to have a lot of trouble adjusting to the narrow groove at Rockingham, and also coming off the turns, coming off the second turn particularly. The newcomers, it's very hard to adjust. They're going to have a lot of problems today. A couple of established super speedway racers up front, Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt, but some sportsman drivers with a lot of experience all through the field. Well, you know, and that's the thing that's going to be tough on the drivers, is trying to keep up with the Jeff Bodines and Dale Earnhardts and try to win the race. On pit road, let's go to Dick Bergeron.
The fastest part of the racetrack is known as the groove. Here at Rockingham, the groove is down low on the bottom of the high bank super speedway. Several years ago, in order to reduce tire wear, this entire racetrack was coated with a sealer. That sealer made it very smooth and somewhat slick. When the cars running over the racetrack, the sealer has been worn off here in the low part. So this is the best place to run. This is the fastest place to run. But there isn't really room to pass down here. Those who wish to pass have to move up on the banking. And up here, it gets very slick. The sealer is still on. And if you lose control here, there's about 2 grooves and then a solid concrete wall. This is no easy place to run a race car.
Thank you, Dick. We'll also be hearing from senior correspondent Charlie Harville back in the studio during today's telecast. We'll be right back with the starting lineup after this. They're on the pace lap at Rockingham. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. 2 Grand National drivers share the front row. Jeff Bodine of Chemung, New York in the Levi Garrett Pontiac. And the Wrangler Jeans Pontiac of Dale Earnhardt of Kannapolis, North Carolina. 2 sportsman stars in row number 2, Dale Jarrett of Hickory, North Carolina, and Jack Ingram of Asheville in Oldsmobiles. In row 3, second-generation star Larry Pearson along with Joe Ruttman. In the 4th row, Tommy Houston and Bosco Lowe, both sportsmen standouts.
Row 5, we find Brad Teague and Tommy Ellis. Row 6 is Bobby Allison in the Miller Buick and L.D. Andres Pontiac. Then comes Joe Thurman and Rick Mass from Rockbridge, Baths, Virginia.
In row number 8, Charlie Luck along with Jimmy Hensley. Row 9, sportsman drivers Glenn Jarrett in a Ford and Kirk Bryant's Pontiac. Row 10, Merv Treichler from upstate New York and Jeff Hensley in Oldsmobiles.
In row 11 is Ronnie Silver and Robert Ingram Jr. Then comes Bubba Nissen and Eddie Falk. Row 13, we find Morgan Shepherd's Pontiac alongside John Limbo's Dodge.
And in the last row, Larry Walker's Pontiac with Billy Hogan's Chevrolet, then Jerry Hill in an Oldsmobile, and Billy Myers subbing for Eugene Clark in a Pontiac. That's the 30-car starting field for the Rockingham 200.
Say goodbye to a
flag in the second race in the Busch Late Model Sportsman Series for 1985. It's Bodine on the brake, and Brad Teague way to the inside about the 5th row. He's on the right side of your screen, and he'll gain a couple of spots before falling in line at turn 1.
That was a very good start for a couple of guys. Bodine, number 1, he really got a good jump, and Brad Teague picked up about 3 spots on that green flag.
Bodine the leader. There's Earnhardt, the second-place car, number 8, and looking for the lead. Earnhardt gives a little tap to the back bumper of Bodine, muscles his spot alongside, and they trade a little paint as they come past the start-finish line. Dead heat on lap 1.
Dead heat, but Earnhardt has the groove. He's down on the inside, and that is the groove, Mike. We're going to see a lot of giving and taking today going in these turns by these guys, because you got to be on the bottom of the racetrack.
When they go through turns 1 and 2, you can see as the sun gleams down and bounces off that asphalt sealer that the low groove in this racetrack has been worn, and that's the fast way around this racetrack as they come off turn 4 and back to the start-finish line. Now back to turn number 1, and you see how that low groove is worn free of the sealant down there, where you don't get the reflection of glare.
That's exactly right, and that's where the traction is. Where that dark spot on the racetrack is, Mike, that's where the traction is. Dale Earnhardt is really working these first few laps. He is staying right directly on the bottom of that racetrack. Jeff Bodine, oh, there's a spin coming off turn 4.
It's Larry Pearson. Pearson's car comes around, gets itself righted again, oops, off to the grass and halted. And quickly, we're under caution here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Larry Pearson, whose dad's David, NASCAR's second all-time winner in Grand National competition with 105 career victories. Larry, trying to make a name for himself in sportsman racing, might have had an assist from Brad Teague.
I think he and Brad Teague got together. I think Teague just bumped him a little bit. And as you come off that turn, Mike, the car is just all but trying to spin out anyway, and all it takes is one little bump and around you go.
Here's Pearson onto pit road, pitting under the caution. May have flat spotted those tires when the car spun.
Here's the first pit stop of the day. Larry Pearson, who spun coming off the fourth turn, now in the pits. They're going to give him some fuel just to top the tank off. Also, right side tires. Pearson in the pits.
And you can see that the tire changer is just using one wrench. In NASCAR Late Model Sportsman Series, you can only use one air impact wrench. So the fellow has to go around, take the lug nuts off one tire, and then go to the other tire. While he's gone taking the change in the other tire, someone takes the tire off and puts a new one on. Once he changes the front tire, he goes back and tightens the nuts on the rear tire.
Idea being, if it takes you that long to change tires, you'll change less of them and save the car owner some money.
Well, that's right, because those tires are $150 a piece. And Bodine gets a great start again on the green flag on the restart mode.
Here comes Earnhardt right up behind him, and Dale will settle in line. Has a look on the low side of Jeff Bodine's yellow and white Pontiac. And they're single file. Jack Ingram on the right side of your screen is the third place car. Now we'll see if Earnhardt's move works again this time like it did on the first lap of the race. Here's Earnhardt. He's going to the bottom again.
This is an instant replay of just a couple of laps ago. Earnhardt is really working today. He is staying right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, Bodine had to know it was coming this time, but there's not much he could do about it.
It really isn't, because Bodine's car today is when he goes in the turns, is going up the racetrack, about a half a groove, a half a lane, which is just enough for Earnhardt to get his nose stuck under.
Dale Earnhardt now with a car-length lead on Jeff Bodine. Jack Ingram in second. Side by side, Dale Jarrett works on the outside for the fourth position. He qualified third. But that high groove is not going to be the way around, at least not in the early lap.
Not in the early lap. I would expect by the end of the race that it will be the fast way. Look, Bodine is trying to earn out, and all. He can't make it down the back straightaway.
Earnhardt the leader into turn 3. He's on the left side of your screen. Bodine right behind him. Jack Ingram holding his own.
I think Jack Ingram really deserves a tremendous amount of credit, Mike, because this is a fellow that has for years and years raced on the quarter, the third, the half-mile racetracks. And when he comes to a racetrack like Rockingham or Charlotte or Daytona, he is really at a disadvantage with the Earnhardt or a Bodine who does week out.
Ingram has had opportunities to drive Grand National race cars on the premier circuit of stock car racing, but he says by doing so, he'd lose money.
Well, that's right, because he has been doing it for so long that he really is great at those short tracks and makes a good living doing it.
Ingram is a 4-time NASCAR National Late Model Sportsman champion, and he enjoys the opportunity to mix it up with the Grand National regulars like Earnhardt and Bodine.
Well, when he can beat them, Mike, he goes back home with a feeling of accomplishment like it's unbelievable. I can just imagine what he feels like when he goes back and says, hey, today I beat Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Bodine.
And today, that's going to be a tall order. Ingram, who won 8 Late Model Sportsman National Championship races in 1984 and finished up the runner-up in the Series Championship to Sam Ard.
Well, everybody finished runner-up for Sammy last year. He was just dynamite last year on this series.
Ard had already clinched the championship when he came to this racetrack in October, and in a savage crash was sidelined over the winter and has yet to return to competition. He is recuperating and expected back in his car probably the end of April or perhaps early May.
It will be good to see. It will be good to see Sam Ard come back.
We'll have more on that from Charlie Harville later on in the telecast. Dale Earnhardt, your leader. In the Wrangler machine on the left side of your screen, that's car number 8. Jeff Bodine driving again this season for Rick Hendrick and the All-Star Racing Team out of Charlotte, North Carolina. The yellow and white number 5 new spot, Garrett Tobacco.
Dale Earnhardt, these first few laps, Mike, has just established himself as, it looks like, as the car absolutely to beat today. He just doesn't seem to like anything wrong. And look, he's just, every lap he seems to put a few more feet on Bodine. I don't think I've ever seen a car this good as early on in the race.
And it's an interesting contrast in driving styles. Earnhardt will lead this race. If there's any way possible, he would lead every lap.
Well, yes, if he can lead, he wants to be in front. But Bodine is kind of the same way. And look, he's closed back up. You know, just when I say Earnhardt's going to drive away, Bodine drives back up on his rear bumper.
Jeff Bodine Bodine running just about 15 feet away. And trouble again. Spinning is the 84 car of Billy Myers, who hopped into that ride this morning. That's back straightaway. And he's down against the barrier. See if he can get refired and moved around without a caution flag.
The cars are slowing down. There is a caution flag on the Speedway, Mike. And that's the second turn that I was talking about early on in the race. At the beginning of the race, that second turn is a tough corner, and it's going to be problems for the other drivers.
So we're in the caution for the second time today at Rockingham. We'll be right back. Dale Earnhardt is attempting to wear out the field here in the Rockingham 200. Busch Late Model Sportsman Series race, and he's doing a pretty fair job of it, Benny Parsons.
As we mentioned early on in the show, he really is working today. We can see him now right on the bottom of the racetrack, down the back straightaway, right up against the wall, and look how close he gets to the outside retaining wall as he enters turn 3. He's making that turn very round, which is keeping the car just very neutral through the turns, and he really is making. There's Jeff Bodine, the second-place car, and he's got to be 5 or 6 seconds behind.
There's Joe Ruttman in third. Fourth right now, Jack Ingram. Fifth is Bobby Allison. Sixth is Tommy Houston. Seventh is Dale Jarrett. Running in the 8th position is Joe Thurman. And ninth is Rick Mass. Bosco Lowe has the 10th spot.
Earnhardt right on that white line all the way through the turn. The car is just superb today.
Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina, former Grand National Rookie of the Year in 1979. Followed it up with the Winston Cup Championship in 1980.
We see the little bit of smoke that he has going in turn 1. The fans watching might think he has a problem, but that's just a little bit of tire smoke. The car, they're going in the turn so hard, and they're putting so much pressure on those tires that they're getting a little smoke off them as they enter the turns.
Earnhardt laps past Robert Ingram Jr., driving car 51 out of Virginia Beach. There's Jack Ingram right on the tail of Joe Ruttman, 3rd and 4th position, flashing past, and they are bumper to bumper. But Earnhardt is well out ahead of the second-place car, almost a straightaway. There's the line top of the screen just for a moment.
Again, I've said this 10 times, but it's amazing how he's right bottom of the racetrack. No one else can do it.
A 5-second lead for Dale Earnhardt. There's the third-place car just going past Ruttman, and Ingram right with him. Back straightaway for the leader.
Dale Earnhardt grew up in this kind of racing. This is where he got experience around quarter-mile racetrack, racing with Jack Ingram and all Sam Ard and the rest of these fellows here before finally got his break and was able to go Grand National racing. So he comes back to this type of racing every chance he gets.
Jeff Bodine at the top of your screen. There's the place line through the NASCAR modified circuit in New York, New England, and the Northeast, and had it but successful experience in the sportsman cars before making the break to Grand National racing. Hart, despite his success in Winston Cup racing last year, did not win on the sportsman circuit, and Bodine won only once at this racetrack last October.
So it looks like it's going to be one or the other of them today, because they certainly have made animals out of the rest of the field. Their caution is out, Mike.
NASCAR officials report each track. The metal has in the groove, and in the AC have brought out the car. Third time this afternoon. Everybody goes for a fuel. Look at the tires, and there's Earnhardt, the leader. Joe Ruttman, Jack Ingram, Bobby Allison. On pit road, let's follow the leader in, Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt, as the world's fastest pit crew, is certified by NASCAR. We'll show you highlights of that pit crew competition a little later on in the broadcast.
Look at shot. All those people, and how in the world that anybody can make any reason. There's Bobby Allison with his hood up. That's bad news. Anytime the hood is raised, that's bad.
Let's go to the studio for a moment and join senior correspondent Charlie Harville.
Mike, good afternoon, everyone. We have a couple of segments today to talk about. First, we want to talk in mail. We really appreciate hearing from so many of you. We're delighted to get your letters, and if you have questions you want to
complete his service on pit road, and as you see, he's the leader. Sportsman 200 at Rockham. Jack Ingram runs second. Dale Earnhardt and Joe Ruttman is the 4th place car.
Every time we brag on somebody, Mike, I promise brag that Dale Earnhart's championship is the best in the managed on the race right now, leading the deal. He's working as he has all day, and he'll be there before the day is over.
Well, that's a good point about Earnhardt's pit crew, is they are used to changing those right side tires with 2 lug wrenches. And in sportsman racing, you can only use 1 to cut down on the number of tires used, and that's a little different scene for them to play out on pit road.
Well, it really is. Bodine's crew is their Grand National crew as well, but Jack Ingram, who is second place, as he was second, he just lost his Dale Earnhardt, but his crew is an experienced sportsman crew. They're able to change tires a little faster than Bodine or Earnhardt's crew.
Now, one or two things. Either his car a little high up in the groove, and Hart took advantage, or drive out. And just for now, let him go. It's still early in the race.
Oh, it's still early in the race. There's certain reasons used to crash the car to keep someone behind you right now. But look how Earnhardt pulled up on Bodine coming off turn 4.
Is mowing down Bodine's lead rapidly. There's Earnhardt. He's there. He's right on the back bumper of Bodine's Pontiac as they go. And Earnhardt looks to the low side. Will he go for it? No, Bodine keeps it pinned right down toward the bottom of the racetrack.
Right on the racetrack. Bodine has to go up that few feet, but Earnhardt stays right on the bottom.
You can see he just hates to run second at any time.
At any time. And he's the same winner Grand National car. He really is.
So the youngster from Martinsville, Virginia. The Flutes sheet metal Oldsmobile going a lap down here. Hensley just out of high school, a well-known racing company down at your old feed plant. So we'll bring you some SETN racing in the season.
Some race side and the police car.
These sportsman cars, 5 tons less than national. That makes sense in the way they.
It really stick track. Oh, they get off turn.
Don't stick to well.
No, but the cars sticking the turns a lot better than the Grand National cars because lighter. These two sports were old Grand National. This was to Grand National. But in the last few years, this late model sportsman racing has gotten so sophisticated that these cars are new cars and they're built especially for late sports, not Grand National racing.
Also with a lighter weight and the small car NASCAR has put on these cars, some of them going to smaller engines as well. Here's Jack Ingram right up with the 2 liters, and Ingram, one of the drivers that favors the 311 cubic inch display as opposed to the 355 cubic inch that used to be the norm in sportsman racing. And in this race today, 2 V6 engines, Bobby Allison's Buick and Ron Bouchard's Buick. Both have Buick V6 motors.
Well, you know, an engine from an engineering standpoint, this race is great because we have 3 entire different engines out there, and this is the birthplace of things we're going to see in Grand National racing a few years down the road.
Plus the small block Ford for Glenn Jarrett and the small block, the Dodge engine for John Linville. Jeff Bodine in car number 5, the leader. Dale Earnhardt in car number 8 in second. They're about to lap by Billy Hogan of Troy, North Carolina, the Superior Piping Chevrolet.
Oh, an engine right in front of the leaders. It had to be it had to be water coming out that exhaust pipe, because if it had been oil, those guys would have been around.
Hogan got right down to the inside of the racetrack. The leaders got by without incident. We're under. So let's go back to the studio and rejoin. Rutland is 4th. It's Houston. 6th is Rick Mast and Joe Thurman and L.D. Ottinger.
Joe Rutland tried to get a start, tried to get by Dale Jarrett on the outside. Jarrett would have none of that. He still holds 3rd spot.
Gives the 2 leaders a little breathing room, though, as Earnhardt and Bodine battle down the back straightaway. Then it's Jarrett, Rutland, and Houston.
Look at Earnhardt. He finally got a good start on the restart. He pulled those a few car lengths that he needed to, like he's saying.
Earnhardt leaped down the turn. Jeff in hot. You see the rest of the field stream fast.
It looks like this has been the shot we've been seeing all day. These cars have been in the almost all day. What a super job that both these drivers have done today.
Earnhardt takes it off the corner. Back to the front straightaway. The first of that way turn, and here goes Bodine diving to the inside again. Wham!
But Earnhardt closed the door abruptly one more time.
Back straightaway. And that little side-by-side racing allows 3rd, 4th, and 5th to close a bit on the leaders. Earnhardt's keeping his car right on the bottom of the race. Bodine just doesn't have room to squeeze underneath him.
The boys, Bodine really... Look, he's going to try it on the outside, Mike.
This is a hard way around as they come past start-finish. Cover the...
Earned the car in a bit too hard. Went up the racetrack. Father and I've seen him all day today. Jeff Bodine just might have noticed that.
But now they're both on fresh tires, so again, it's back to feeling each other out and seeing what each other one has got.
That's exactly right. Right now, they're just trying to see, and Bodine tried that shot. If he can try it later on in the race, maybe Earnhardt will do the same thing, slide up the racetrack just a bit.
Now, just out of camera range, the same thing is going on between Dale Jarrett and Joe Rutland at the front spot. There they are, 2 by 2, the front 4.
And Tom Houston's kind of by himself. He's in between the 5th and 6th place car. He's just there all by himself. But he's waiting in case these 4 don't make it to the end.
Uh-oh. Rick Mast is in the wall up in turn number 3. And Ronnie Silver just misses it.
Wow, what a close call.
And again, you see they slow before they get to the caution, because they do here in sportsman racing. They don't race back to the flag. That's the same spot where Sam whacked the wall last October.
Let's go to Charlie Hart.
Thank you, Mike. And this is a race, isn't it? It illustrates the kind of
automobile usually piloted by Sam Ard, and the latest indication is that Sam could be back in a race car in late April. We're getting for the restart. There's Brad right outside and Bodine. right to the inside, trying to get a piece out of Earnhardt.
Oh, today Dale Earnhardt says he keeps shutting the door on Bodine. How many times? Almost as many laps as we have on the scoreboard. That's how many times he's shut the door on Bodine going in the turns.
He's going to wear the hinges off that door. Bodine is there, just a car length back. Now there's Joe Ruttman, the third-place car, wrestling with the moving chicane, Brad Teague. And here's Bodine after the lead.
He is that lead. They're very, very close coming off turn 2.
This is great for the fans. This is tremendous.
And they are on their feet. They appreciate this kind of race, as I do. I'm a big race fan.
And you know it's got to be enjoyable to those two fellas up front.
Well, that's exactly right.
Bodine with the lead, but only by half a car length. Here comes Earnhardt, and he's coming back on the outside.
They have raced for one complete lap side by side. Oh, they do touch.
You get a lot of that contact, even at 130, 140 miles an hour. And you got two of the best in the business at it right there. And they're two drivers, aggressive. Neither one's going to give an inch.
This is a lap and 3/4. 2 laps these cars have been around this speedway side by side.
And they touch again coming off turn 4. Back to 1. Earnhardt drops in the low groove. And all the way to the bottom. Here he goes. No, there's not enough room. Bodine holds him back there.
I almost broke my chair on that one, Mike. What a move. You know, Earnhardt went down on the apron. I thought he was going to slip up and get in the side of Bodine. I don't know how in the world they didn't get together.
Well, that side-by-side racing has brought Joe Ruttman right up into the pack. At the top of the screen, Tommy Houston goes by Dale Jarrett for 4th. It is now a 3-car battle. Let's see if Ruttman can hang with them as Bodine and Earnhardt try to buff the paint off each other's cars the hard way.
I hope that we got to widen our shot out just a little bit to put a 3rd car in there, because that's really going to make a difference on those front 2 cars, having a 3rd car back there, because all of a sudden they can't pull these shenanigans, because when they do, that 3rd-place car is going to go by and leave them both in the dust.
Well, Earnhardt is the meat in the sandwich there. He has got to drive aggressively to get Bodine, as he does there, and defensively to hold off Joe Ruttman.
They touched. They definitely touched coming off turn 2, and that's a thought for it.
Wheel marks up and down the sides of both those two front-running cars. Front straightaway.
It's hard to remember seeing 2 cars as close as these 2 are. They are just unbelievable how close they are together.
And that's evolved through the first 100 miles. I would have definitely said Earnhardt was the strongest car, but now I'm not so sure.
No, that's exactly right. As we've talked about, they've been working on Bodine's car, and right now he is as fast as Earnhardt, as he proves there. Earnhardt looked like he was under him, yet he pulled away.
Under him. He is under him in turn 1. And Bodine can't close the door on him. He's got to get Earnhardt to grow. Earnhardt takes advantage and climbs right up the left side of Jeff's car.
And there's Joe Ruttman. Goes by now. He's in 2nd place. Bodine is back to 3rd.
I believe the phrase is hung out to dry. That happened. Got a high groove. The low side's the fast way around. He got hung out to dry. And Ruttman still comes.
Ruttman. We haven't heard from him all day.
He is not the kind of driver that has to lead the race. He doesn't bother. Take his shot when he needs it. And right now is the time.
Well, I guess now can he pass these guys? Can he, in fact, win this race? And right now is as good a time to find out as any time.
And he's a car. Ed Whitaker's car is always immaculate, and it's always one of the cars to beat on the Richmond circuit. Earnhardt, Morgan Shetland names have been behind the wheel.
And have won with a car. That's exactly right.
Bodine now gets to watch from 3rd spot. Right side of your screen, Jeff Bodine. In the middle, the white car is Joe Ruttman, and on the left, the race leader, Dale Earnhardt. Again, they lap by a little slower traffic. Here's Bodine. He's going to try the inside on Ruttman. Let's see if he gets some room. He does. Ooh, and he's got 2nd spot. You know, Joey Chitwood and his crew, they don't drive any closer than this.
No, because these cars continually are touching. They're touching front fenders to front bumpers to rear bumpers. Front fenders to rear fenders. Continue their touching through the turns, and it's just amazing that we haven't seen one of these cars spin out.
Front straightaway once again. Earnhardt, Bodine, and Ruttman. 2 Pontiacs and an Oldsmobile. Out ahead of Tommy Houston and Dale Jarrett.
Mike, I can't get a handle on this race to save my life. A couple of laps ago, I thought maybe Bodine was going to fall back. And now it looks like he has the fastest car in the field. I'm having trouble figuring this race out.
Well, I think it's Earnhardt's driving style that's keeping him in the lead.
Trouble, Mike, in turn 2.
Merv Treichler of Sanborn, New York, has hit the wall a ton. You see what is left of the front end of his J&J Racing Oldsmobile, the NASCAR modified and dirt track modified standout, is out of this one. As Dale Earnhardt comes to pit road, you see the battle scars up and down the right-hand side of his Wrangler Pontiac.
The jackman is jacking the car up, but he don't have anybody over there with a lug wrench.
Well, they brought a tire out. That's Will Lind with the 2 tires. They're not going to change them. Fuel only for Earnhardt as he comes down pit road. Dale Jarrett's getting right side tires. Joe Ruttman is getting left side tires. But Earnhardt with gas only goes back on the race course. We'll see how this strategy plays out. There's Bodine and Ruttman up behind the pace car.
It looked like that Earnhardt wanted tires because he sat there for a few minutes. He didn't just drive away. He sat there like, you know, come on, guys, change the tires. But evidently, now he's back in the pits. He's going to change the tires after all.
Must have been a miss stop, as now they're around to change the right side tires on Dale Earnhardt's car.
Again, if somebody has just joined the broadcast in the crew can only use one air impact wrench. That's to try to keep these fellows from changing tires. Save some the rear man. They use one change too.
They find change both one pit full and down a bit. That's them from making, say, a 4-tire change.
At least it keeps them by air wrench at $1.
Earnhardt's backtrack. We'll be back. Flag the average 4 miles, but when the green's been out, has been Spengler here at Rock, Carolina. At pit stop, Dine, who's pit the race lead. Joe Rutt there, and Bill Earnhardt climbing to the back bumper car.
Earnhardt has himself in 30 minutes a day, and it don't look going to stay there this time.
Now, you race against him, what, 18 times a year. Is there a more aggressive driver in all of big-time stock car racing?
No, I don't think. I think Earnhardt has to be the most aggressive guy that we have in the Grand National division. And we've seen it all day today as he just goes right by Joe Ruttman to take second place. He continually all day has been going to the front, pushing, shoving, gouging as hard as he can.
You see a little smoke off the right side of his car. That's tire smoke in the corners. Goodyear people tell us that's normal. It's just the interaction of the racing tires with the rubber-based sealant that's been put on the racetrack.
Boy, look at him come off that turn.
How about that rubber-based front bumper? Going up against Jeff Bodine. It is Bodine, Earnhardt, and Ruttman. And here goes Earnhardt. Whoosh.
Well, we saw Dale Earnhardt a few moments ago, just before we went away to commercial. He changed the right side tires. As you mentioned, Jeff Bodine stayed on the racetrack. So right now, Dale Earnhardt has an advantage because he has fresh, cold tires on the right side. But in a few laps, look at Bodine with those used tires. He comes right back.
Well, Bodine's car was working so much better in the last few laps than it had at the start of the race, and better than Earnhardt. Here's Earnhardt right back at him.
We can't keep up with him fast enough, folks. Oh, wow.
It's like a tag team match.
It really is. But they won't stay in the ring very long to keep tagging each other out.
And waiting to tag in is Joe Ruttman in car number 7. Ruttman goes way up high coming around the front straightaway. Here's Bodine again. Down on the low side, Earnhardt.
Need we say, folks, he slammed the door one more time.
Kaboom. Okay, back straightaway. Earnhardt, Bodine, Ruttman. This has got to be as much fun for these 3 guys in the racetrack as it is for us watching it.
Well, I don't know if it is for Joe Ruttman because, you know, he wants to win, and I don't know how he's going to beat these 2 guys. Here, Bodine goes again. But again, Earnhardt closes the door.
Discretion being the better part of losing your right front fender, I think. It's as competitive a race as this track has ever seen.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Well, how many races do we see a year, Mike? We see 40 races a year. How many races do we see like, folks, this is unique. It's different, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are.
Well, it's getting down to the countdown laps in just a few moments here. We'll see if Earnhardt's fresh right side tires can overcome the handling advantage that Jeff Bodine's crew has given him in the last third of this race. Lap traffic a factor here as they get into turn 3.
You see what happens when that slow car gets in the way. Earnhardt's trying his best to keep Bodine behind him, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do it or not.
Well, Bodine's working on his rearview mirror pretty good. He comes up high, gets a late start into the turn, looks like he's going high, chops down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's trying to worry Earnhardt out of that low groove to doing something defensive that'll give Jeff some room to sneak underneath.
Well, that's right. If he can just get Earnhardt to move up on the racetrack a little bit to try to block what he thinks is a move, then Bodine, boom, is going to go right by him.
Here he goes, down to the inside once again. Earnhardt comes through the D and chops right down once again. Finishes it off right down low against the track apron in turns 1 and 2.
Those slow cars are really giving him a lot of room. I'm glad to see that, because these fellas have raced too hard today for a slower car to make a difference in the outcome.
Eddie Falk, the car that they're lapping past, 0-4.
Did Bodine use Falk as a pick? 5 laps to go. I saw Harold Kinder give him the signal that time by. 5 laps to go.
Well, now let's see if all that spaining and all that jockeying for position and testing each other out, how it's going to play out here. Earnhardt is the race leader. He's led most of this race today. Bodine has had a shot at the lead several times, only to fall victim to Earnhardt passing on the low side. Joe Ruttman, the unknown factor among the three. He has been up toward the front, has not quite stretched his way to the lead.
But yet, when there's 10 laps to go, when he saw the 10 lap to go signal or the 5 lap to go signal, look, Mike, he's right there. So maybe, just maybe, he's had something all day we haven't seen before.
We've had 15 lead changes in this race as Earnhardt goes to the low side on traffic. Bodine goes to the high side, and Bodine had the jump off the top of the corner. He's the first guy into turn 1 with 3 laps to go. But Earnhardt digs out of the corner and comes out first.
Joe Ruttman almost had him a spot. Almost. Look, Bodine is going to try it down the back straightaway.
He'll have to get hard into turn 3 to get Earnhardt there, and it doesn't happen. 2 laps to go, coming out of turn number 4, and the 3 cars are stacked up for the lead and the victory. Here's Bodine again, right down to the inside with 2 to go. He leans on Earnhardt just a bit. No, just a lot, and they come off turn 2 side by side.
They are side by side. Look, Joe, I thought maybe Joe Ruttman was going to make it 3 abreast going down the back straightaway, but there's room for 2, much less 3. Bodine has him.
Has a car length. A car length. And here comes Ruttman. On the bottom of the racetrack, white flag, 1 lap to go. Ruttman can't do it. He slides back into line, single file. Bodine's the race leader with a lap to go. Here is Earnhardt. Into the back bumper of Bodine. It gets Bodine out of shape. Here goes Earnhardt. That little disruption of Bodine's momentum is all Earnhardt needed.
And Joe Ruttman's alongside for second spot. I don't think Bodine can come back on the outside.
He may have a chance, but battling Ruttman for second, hangs him up to the high side. Bodine jumps to the bottom of the racetrack. Earnhardt gets the checkered flag. Ruttman is second, and Bodine, who led on the white flag lap, got out of shape in turn number 2.
We see Bodine pulling up alongside Dale Earnhardt. Believe me, Mike, he is not congratulating. I wish we could hear what he was saying.
No, you don't. Not on television.
No, I guess that's true.
So Dale Earnhardt muscles his way to victory in the late model Sportsman 200 at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Joe Ruttman finishes second, and Jeff Bodine perhaps made his move 1 lap too soon.
I don't know, Mike. He passed him coming down for the white flag. I thought it was a good pass. I really did. I thought it was a good pass.
Now that I know that the
Wrangler crew pushes Dale Earnhardt's Pontiac into victory lane here at Rockingham. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Dale, it was some exciting battle to watch. What was it like inside the car?
Well, it was one of them races, we had to race him pretty hard there at the end. We'd rubbed him a couple of times back and forth, and I had to rub him to get around him, but, that was close racing. I didn't knock him out sideways, I just had to rub him to get around him.
How important was the tire change that you guys took at the end of the race?
Well, we really didn't need them. The car was getting a little loose, and I was scared I had one going down. I wanted to check them, and we come in and change right sides, and we're just lucky to make that time up.
Now, you pulled in here to victory lane. It appears as if you have black tire marks all the way around the car. Was this an especially rough race?
No, Jeff and I just raced close all day long. We didn't really beat and bang. It was just, side-by-side racing, rubbing, and we raced like that, side-by-side, and rubbed and went right on and didn't even really knock each other sideways or anything like that. It was just one of them close races.
What's the emotion when you're rubbing tires at 140 miles an hour for the lead of a stock car race? What goes through your mind?
Just trying to get ahead of them. It's exciting. That's really why I race, is a close race, and I like to win a close one.
And there's Dale Earnhardt, who just did, in fact, win a close one here at Rockingham.
Let's take another look at it, Benny.
Well, he said it didn't knock him sideways. Well, it depends. Sure, he's not 45 degrees sideways, but right now they do get together. Jeff Bodine goes a little bit sideways, but Bodine did go in the corner just a little bit too hard. He went up the racetrack. He left an opening for Dale Earnhardt. When Earnhardt headed for the opening, Bodine tried to close the door, but Earnhardt went on, they got together, and Bodine's car went a little bit sideways. There is a saying that I've heard all my life in the sport, and that saying is all's fair in love and the last lap.
Jeff Bodine, after leading much of the race, you finished third, but still you can manage a grin.
Well, it's tough sometimes, but we have to do that. You know, what happens on a racetrack at different times, you just have to live with that. You can't change it now. And this type of track here at Rockingham promotes the rough, the contact, the bumping. It's a narrow track, it's fast. And to get by in a passing situation, you have to rub your opponent most of the time. It's hard to pass him clean, and that's what happened today. And you know, we accept that. You know, when you race with real racing competitors, people that want to win, like Dale Earnhardt or Joe Rutman, you've got to expect to have a lot of contact, and that's what happened.
Well, let's see if we can get an idea of what happened from the fellow who had the absolute bird's-eye view of that last lap fracas, Joe Rutman. Let's go back to Dick Bergeron on pit road.
Now, if you had to be a referee of that situation, Joe, would you say everybody played fair?
Well, I'm sure that somewhere along the line that when both drivers look at each other, someone realizes they made a mistake, and I think the persons involved really realize who was right and who was wrong, and they're just going to have to work it out on their own. And I'm not one to pass judgment. All I'm doing is trying to win races, and fortunately, I wasn't involved in that aspect of it, because you know, when they bump and bang a little bit, that scares me to death, you know.
Well, did Jeff Bodine come down the track in front of Dale Earnhardt, or did Earnhardt come up into Jeff Bodine? Either way, and you be the judge, real winner, the race fans.
Regardless of who won today, these race fans got their money's worth, Mike. I've watched lots of races. I've never seen a better one.